Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this live stream. My name is Hussam Mohsina, and I lead the Reactor in the Middle East and Africa. And the Reactors are global hubs for founders and developers to meet, learn, and connect, and learn from industry experts all around what's happening in technology. On today's session, this is the second part in a series that is revolving around Power Apps. And we did in the first session build a booking request app. And today we continue this learning journey by automating this process using Power Automate. Before we begin, I would love to remind you that this is a Microsoft event and we need to follow the code of conduct in the chat. We're live streaming and you can engage with us and ask questions during the session. So let's be aware of each other, open to all viewpoints and questions, and kind and considerate to others at all time. And you can also drop us some ideas and feedback during also after the session on the Reactor survey and mention the event code for today's session at the beginning of the survey. So I want to come back here and introduce Somalaise, who's leading this series. Somalaise, thank you for joining us today on this live stream. Tell us more about this series and what is expected from the community and what is the learning outcomes that we will have.
Thank you so much, Hussam, for welcoming me. And also, thank you to everyone that's actually watching this series. So, once again, we are back from the first episode that we had just over 2 days ago, where we built a booking request app using Power Apps. Now, the big part or the exciting part is actually automating that solutions process. So, hence the title of the session, which is automate a booking request process with Power Automate. But if you're new today and ideally you're just starting out with the series and you want to know how you can actually get started, so just make sure you go to aka.ms/ build together series learnings, and then you can be able to access the onboarding block that we actually have there that will allow you to get started and complete the pre-steps of doing this series and following along, and also actually find the on-demand video of the previous session that we actually had, so you can just get started right away and it's self-paced. Okay, what is Let's Build Together Low Code Edition? Really, we just want to build low code solutions using Power Apps, Power Automate, Dataverse, and also obviously you can also build solutions using Power BI. So in a case where you want to extend the projects that we're building during the session, you can add in your Power BI, your Power Pages, and your Power Virtual Agents to your solution. Right. But before we carry on, my name is Samuel Zadigo, and I am a cloud advocate at Microsoft, based out in Durban, South Africa. And I love building solutions with the Power Platform, Teams, and Microsoft Azure. And I'm pretty much open to actually build extensive solutions using other technologies as well and looking for ways of how to bring together the Power Platform and other technologies as well. So if you are open to those kinds of opportunities, we can actually get together and you can connect with me on Twitter at Digo Someleze or on LinkedIn at Someleze Digo. And you can also share what you're also building with the Power Platform or .NET or even Microsoft Graph, because I also love building solutions using Graph and the Power Platform. But today I'm not here alone. I'm also here with Rachel, who will actually introduce herself as soon as she gets on the screen. Rachel?
Hi, Somalis. Thank you very much. Okay, so hi everyone. It's very nice to be here. My name is Rachel Rapo. As Somalis has already said, I'm a Power Platform developer and a Microsoft student ambassador. I work with Microsoft Dynamics Customer Engagement and also Power Platform. I'm based in Nigeria, and what do I love doing with tech? I love Power Platform. Like, it gives me joy when I'm working with it, and also being able to work with so many people in the community. Like right now, I'm working with Somalis, so it's quite amazing. And you can actually get me on LinkedIn and also on Twitter. On Twitter, my name is Richie for Love, and on LinkedIn, my name is Rachel Rabo. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. It's so amazing to actually have you here. So, what is really Let's Build Together Low Code Edition series? So, within the series, you learn how to build connected solutions with Power Apps and Power Automate and work on two projects that actually showcase this new learning that you have um, during the entire series. And again, the projects that you're actually building are leveraging Power Apps, Power Automate, and Dataverse. And that's something we're actually going to get into detail during the session, as the few considerations that you actually have to take into account when you're building solutions or you're building your projects. And again, it's important to build projects because it helps boost your portfolio as many times as ever. So during the series, we've already had our first session on March 6th, where we built a booking request app using Power Apps. So today we actually have a session which is automate the booking request process with Power Automate. So everything that we did from the first session where we actually built the app, we want to automate the processes that are underlying within that specific app. And then the next two sessions that we're going to have, we're going to be stepping into another project. And again, the series is about building two projects that you can add to your portfolio. So we're going to build another project, which is a mobile sales application with Power Apps. And then we're going to automate the mobile sales process with Power Automate. So those two sessions are on March 10th and March 13th. So make sure that you join us and you walk through with us on how to build projects that are gonna boost your project portfolio. Right. What is the Microsoft Power Platform if you are new to the series, or even if you're new to the technology itself? So a brief overview of the Power Platform is that it's a low-code, no-code platform where you are able to build solutions without having to have a technical background. You can use Power Apps to build an application, just like our first session where we built an app using Power Apps. You can use Power Pages for web development without writing any code. And obviously, for professional developers that want more control within Power Pages, you are still able to edit the code for your Power Pages website using VS Code. And also, you can build intelligent virtual agents using Power Virtual Agents without having to write code, and you can see the flow of the conversation of your Power Virtual Agent. Then you can add in automation to your solution using Power Automating, which is something that Rachel is going to show us today. And then you can bring in business intelligence or business analytics using Power BI without writing any code. And what's common within the Power Platform products is that you can use Power FX to actually add in your business logic to your solutions. And the underlying business data platform for Power Platform at the center of the Power Platform is Dataverse, in which ideally I'm alluding to something that we're going to talk about at a later stage, which is the back end of your solutions. That is where you store all of the data that is being used by your project or your solution that you actually built throughout the entire series that we have, or your personal project, because obviously I hope this series is actually motivating you to build solutions. Okay, I'm talking about the Power Platform really, but what are we here to do today really? And how does this fit? How can we fit all of these different kinds of technologies within the Power Platform and build a solution? What are the scenarios that are out there that you can build solutions with using the Power Platform or even Power Automate, for an example? Rachel, would you care to share with us?
Yeah, Power Automate is quite amazing. Like the things that Power Automate can do, like in this scenario where we are actually working on this particular projects, and we're working on a case study where you have to request for a book. You don't have to go through the long process of giving it manually. You have to look for your manager. Like you have to go and meet them. Like, okay, sir, or maybe Mr. John, I need you to sign this. I need you to sign that. Or maybe when your manager is not around, you have to wait for them to come back. So you can easily just create a flow to actually do this for you. When they get it in their emails, they can easily use their phones to approve the flow. They can, it's so amazing. Like you can do so much with Power Automate, and it actually blows my mind. It blows my mind every time. And you can see on this case study we're actually working on right now. We are trying to automate a booking request process with Power Automate. The employee needs to receive a confirmation email after submitting booking requests in the app. Like if you attended the first class on Microsoft Reactor here, where Somalis and they actually worked on an app. And I will advise you to actually go back, and after this video, you should actually go back and watch that, because you get to see what they did with Power Apps, where you get to build an application. And it was super easy getting to build a TV screen view with Dataverse. And you don't have to go through so much process to in order to build that. And now we are trying to create a Power Automate flow that is actually affecting what was done inside of Power Apps. It's amazing. Yeah. So I would advise you to actually do that. And you see, they also need to receive an email where the manager has decided to accept or decline the booking request. So when you actually ask for a course, like maybe you're trying to ask for a course, maybe I need this particular course, I need to read maybe organic chemistry, I need to read Oliver Twist, and maybe they do not have it at that particular time. They can tell you that, okay, I do not have this, I do not have this, or maybe I have this, and they actually approve the flow. And they might also go further on their emails and maybe tell you the particular day that particular book you're trying to request for will be available, and you can reapply. So there's not too much issues. You have technology with you. Power Automate is actually making life easy for us. You don't have to go through so much processes in order to achieve something so minimal. And also you get to, in this call, you get to create a Power Automate flow that sends, like, it's anytime you're going to see it in the demo here, anytime that the request is filled inside of the app, when they have the request for a particular book and the particular dates, the starting dates and ending dates, it runs on the flow. You don't have to go to that, okay, I've actually requested for this. I have to go and check my app in order to see who has requested. You understand? It just does it on its own. You don't have to go through maybe you are not at home, you are not with your phone, you do not have access to your laptop or anything. You don't have to worry about that. Power Automate is actually running it for you at the background. So it's actually amazing. Yeah. Hi, Sobelis.
Yeah, definitely. Just like Rachel said, within this specific scenario, you just want to build an automation for the booking request app that we built for the first session. And again, if you're new to this specific series, as I've mentioned, you can be able to find the video or the session that we actually did rather on Monday. You can find it on aka.ms/. Build Together Series Learnings, where you will find all of the on-demand videos for all of the sessions that we're doing throughout the series. Right. Okay, before we actually build this specific process and we build using Power Automate really, there's a few solution considerations that we actually looked at even at the first session, where you have to think about the front end when you're building your solution, because it's very important to structure how your users are going to consume the data, the interface that is going to be used by your users. And then obviously you need to have a backend where you are able to store all of the information that is coming from your Power App or your front end that you built, and store it using Dataverse. You saw last session as Narcissus went through it, he built a Power App that checked off the front end, then built a Dataverse table, which then looked at the back end of our solution. So the solution consideration that we're looking at today is actually the middle way, where we are trying to add in some business logic and obviously trying to automate the business processes within the process flow. Speaking about the process flow, what is the process flow for our session? So again, just like a few things that Rachel had mentioned, is that whenever a person is submitting, so we have your user, the system, and the manager. So the system sits in the middle, but in the middle of the two users, your user and the manager. So it could be an employee and their manager. So upon submission, they should get an acknowledgement email that their booking request has been submitted. And then once that booking request has been submitted, obviously the system must delay the submission by 5 minutes so that it can be able to process all of the information that it got from the user. And then after the delay, the system must start and wait for an approval request for the request to be made, right? And then afterwards, the system needs to send a reminder to the manager if the request has not been actioned for, let's say, a specific number of days. Once the system actually starts and waits for that approval for the request that was made by the employee, then obviously the manager must get notified to action the approval process. And then once the manager approves or rejects the request, the user must be notified. So how the manager actually approves or rejects, and how they actually know why they need to approve or reject for that, obviously is dependent on whatever kinds of parameters that you actually have for your solution. It could be based off of maybe the price was too high, based off of that training is not worth it for them to actually do as employees within the company, or could be a million reasons. So obviously you can just automate that using Power Automate or using this process that we have. So again, once a manager actually approves or rejects the request, obviously the user or the employee must be notified. But first, before the user is notified, the system needs to update the request status and then notify the user in terms of has it been rejected or has it been approved. So ideally, you're going to see this being built out by Rachel using Power Automate. And for someone who is new to the series, and I'm talking about Rachel doing a process using Power Automate. What is Power Automate? Rachel, can you let us know what Power Automate is all about and how people can actually use it to build their different kinds of automations for their solutions?
Yeah, Power Automate, like I said before, like you get to you get to leave Power Automate to handle a lot of things for you, where things that you have to do manually, that you have to like the process is so much that you have to think about it. Like, okay, maybe I'm not with my phone. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Power Automate can easily just do that for you. So for me, I'll just say that Power Automate helps you cut down repetitive tasks, like things you have to do all the time. You have to do them today, you have to do them tomorrow, you have to do them, you understand? So I feel that, and that is the explanation. Like Power Automate helps you just cut down tasks that you have to take so many time, you have to waste your time, you get to miss so many things. Maybe you have so many work to do. You can easily just use Power Automate to cut down your tasks. And things that you can actually use Power Automate for, you can use Power Automate. Like I think we are all familiar with forms. I always say this all the time because I know that there's nobody who has not seen a form before. You're all familiar with forms, and maybe you're trying to attend an event. You can easily just fill the form, and I do not have to go through the long process of just checking how many persons have filled that form and send them an email manually. I can easily just automate that form, and they all get an email. And I can also still make it personalized with Power Automate. And maybe you're working, maybe you're an analyst, you have to Excel, you are using SQL. In so many scenarios where you can use Power Automate. And there's some parts where you think that, okay, the platform or the database I'm trying to use right now is not available. You can easily just create a custom connector where you get to use APIs to create it and work with what you have. You understand? So there are so many things you can do with Power Automate, and you can work across. It has integration. There's one thing I love so much about, apart from Power Automate on itself. There's a lot of things I love about Microsoft Power Platform. Is the collaboration. It's amazing every time. Like I'm like wow. So it's amazing every time. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Rachel. Actually, you just reminded me of something. You mentioned custom connectors and APIs within Power Automate. That
Yeah.
is actually how we bring in everyone that has a technical background to use the Power Platform in general, because they can build their own custom connectors. And I know
Yeah.
Julia, my colleague, is actually working on this, where they can build custom connectors to speak to technologies or applications that obviously don't have connectors within the Power Platform. And obviously, you can make those API calls using your skills that are
Yes. Yes.
pre-existing for your technical background. So that it's very amazing and wonderful to see how powerful Power Automate is and how you can bring
Yeah.
in that entire automation within a business or within a company. But another part with the Power Automate stuff is that you can look at Power Automate as, obviously, when you're doing automation, you need specific parameters to be met or conditions to be met. So, for an example, when it's automation, you have to have a trigger, and then you have to have instructions of what your Power Automate flow needs to do. So, your trigger actions, in which I think Rachel would actually show you when we're doing the demo, your trigger action is whether you received an email on your mailbox and then your Power Automate flow automatically kicks off, or if you press the specific button and then your Power Automate flow kicks off, or in a case where you scheduled it and you wanted your Power Automate flow to run, let's say every Monday, every Wednesday, or every day, you can actually do that within Power Automate, and you can grant approvals. And I think our demo today actually has an approval request within it, and I just can't wait to see what Rachel has in store for us. Speaking of which, let's actually build that process, right? Because obviously we need to use Power Automate to build the process. So we need to build that process using Power Automate, and Rachel is actually going to show us how to build that process,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very
Yeah.
excited, Rachel, in terms of seeing the power of Power Automate and how we can actually take a scenario specific based thing and put it into a project or a solution,
Yes.
talking to something that we already built. So
Yeah.
I
There's
think
also
we,
something. It's also
yeah,
something I want to point out. Like they, especially for students, like they feel that okay, what am I actually going to use Microsoft Power Platform for? Like in this case study, in this business requirements where you get to send, like you're actually trying to request for a book, you can actually use this solution in your schools. You understand? This is a very, very perfect solution to use. Maybe you have like your library, you can use it in your library. You have there are most schools where they have their own general library and they have their departmental library. You can actually utilize this, especially this particular solution. You can utilize it in your school, and you can actually use it to build projects to use for your portfolio. So there are so many things you can do. And Somalis has worked on so many solutions where you can check on how you can use Microsoft Power Platform as a student. Yeah, thank you.
yeah, and I think we just need to get right into the demo. So just waiting in for Hussam to get us started.
Okay.
Take it away, Rachel.
So if you can notice, this is actually the Power Apps environment where I'm trying to show you what was done before now, like in case if you missed it. So I'm going to show you through the table that was created. So we're going to wait for that to load. Okay, so the table that was created, the name of the table was actually booking request. So we're just going to get there. Okay, okay, I've seen it. So that's booking request. Just going to click on it. So there's one thing you have to notice is that this table is actually following the business requirements, like it's following what is asked for, where you have your, I'm going to show you the columns, where you have your course name, you have your requester's email. So I'm just going to show you, you have your requester's name, requester's status. So if you can see through this, and there's also one thing I want you to notice here is that we have our booking ID, which is a unique primary key. So, and this is the app that was used. Just going to check that again. Okay. Trying to show you the app that was built for you to be able to understand the solution perfectly. So what we're trying to do right now is that we're trying to run a flow. We're just going to use another tab. We're actually trying to run a flow in Power Automate that actually affects this app. So I'm just going to show you the app. This is the app. So when I actually enter data into this app, I enter the start date, the end date, and the course name. Power Automate is actually working as a back end. Power Automate is actually working as a backend when it sends to the manager that, okay, this is actually what is happening. I requested a book. I want you to either approve or reject. So we're actually loading into Microsoft Power Automate. And in Microsoft Power Automate, we're going to go to create. So Moniz talked about where you have your trigger, you have your actions, and we are going to see it play here. The flow we are going to be creating is an automated cloud flow. So just click on that. And we are going to give the flow a name, which is booking requests. It's very advisable to give your flow a name in case of next time you are checking through the flows you have created and you want to know what you actually created. Then for the flow, the trigger we're going to be using is, okay, we're going to be using a connector from Dataverse. And when a new row is added, modified, or deleted, that is our trigger. Okay. So you can see that this is our trigger. Then what are you trying to do with this row, this connector? We are trying to add. So that's what we are going to be using. Just going to clear that and go for added. Okay. So added. We're not trying to delete. We're not trying to add or delete. We're trying to add. Then the table. You remember the table I showed you on Dataverse. So we're just going to connect to that particular table here. Then the scope is going to be organization. So the next thing to do is for us to click on new step where we choose our action. After your trigger, your action. So our action is delay. We're trying to delay the flow that after that particular thing has been submitted on Power Apps, before it runs, it takes 5 minutes for it to run. So that's what we actually did there. And you can see that's actually what we did here for it to run in 5 minutes. And the next flow is actually our get manager action where you get to actually get the email of your manager. So we're just going to do that. Then your dynamic content is going to be request your email. Request your email, just going to look at the down parts. Okay, you can see that is that. Then we're going to go for the next action, which is approval. Start and wait for approval. Okay. And please, if you have any questions, please, we would love to see your questions on the chat. So our approval type here is going to be first to respond. Approve or reject, first to respond. So this is just going to open up where we get to write the title. You get to write it, and it's going to be book request. And then assign to. So what is it about? Who are you assigning this particular approval email to? You're assigning it to the manager. So the details about the approval flow, you have to let the manager know what this approval flow is about. So it's going to be approval request for course name. So we're just going to add the dynamic content for course name, which is coming from the trigger course name. Okay. By. Okay, just going to go to when a new row is added, which is a trigger, and go for requester name, the person that's actually asking for, the person that's actually demanding for the book from the app. Yeah. So we're going to add a new step, which is update the row. So the information that is added from, what is happening here is that the information that is added from the approval flow, we want it to show inside of Dataverse. So which is this connector we are actually connecting to, and the table name is booking request, which is the same table we use in the trigger, and the table I also showed you on Dataverse. So the row ID is going to be the booking request, which I told you is the unified identifier in that particular table. Then we're just going to go ahead and click on High Advanced. Then the comments. What we're trying to do here is to get a dynamic content from start and wait from for an approver, which is approver. You can see we're just going to get it from start and wait from an approver. Just going to wait a bit. Okay. So we are trying to get the comments made from the approver, from the manager, and also we're trying to get the status, like what the request status. We're trying to know what the manager said, whether he rejected or accepted the booking request, so that the person that actually requested for this, we have a better information on what happened. So we're just going to click on add an action and go for send an email v2. So this particular action, what this action is doing right now is that this action is trying to send an email to the requester, like the person who actually asked for this book, to tell them that, okay, this is the information that was gotten from your request. And the two will be getting to, it's like your normal email, the way you send emails to people. So it's just going to go for, we're going to use the trigger, which is requester email. You can see we did not use the from update row. We used from the trigger. So we're just going to give that a subject, which is request for course name. Just going to click on request for course name. Then we go for the body. So we are going to make this personalized, where we get to see that, okay, this is what is happening. Hi, requester name, to address the person personally. And then we are going to write the information. Your request for course name, which we are also still getting from the trigger, which is when a row is added, modified, or deleted. Okay. Has been. Then you go for you go to the states, start and wait for an approval. You get to click on it and add the response approval, the response approval response. So this gets to, what this does is that it shows you that, okay, this is the manager's, what the manager has said, if he had approved or not. Then kind regards, the book team. Okay, we're going to save that and we're going to run the flow. We're going to run the flow and see how this works. And it's totally fine if this does not work for you. You can actually rewatch this video in order to understand where you made any mistakes. So we are going to click on test, and you see, to see it work now, perform the starting action. So the starting action now is for us to go to Power Apps and enter the data. So the start date, today's date, end date, when you choose an end date, then choose the particular time, then choose the course name. Okay, organic chemistry. Okay, we're just going to save that and go back to Power Automate. Okay, you can see, to see it work. So you can see that particular action that was created makes our flow start running. So we're just going to go back. Okay. So you can see your flow is running. So you can see you don't have to go through the long process of trying to actually get a request manually. You can actually automate this. Okay, we're just going to wait a bit for this. And there's one thing you have to also notice about this flow is that it's actually in one of the business requirements is that we want this flow to delay for 5 minutes. So we're just going to wait for that. Just going to wait a bit and see how it works. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We'd love to answer your questions. Okay, we're just going to check the overflow on email. So this is the requester's email, like the manager's email. You can see the approval flow we have here, where you get to approve or reject, and you get to make a comment to tell the requester to know whether the book is available or not. Okay, I'm just going to click on submit and go back. Okay, we're just going to go to the next tab instead. So I'm going to see what is wrong, what's happening. Okay, trying to understand. Okay, so you can see when a row is added or when a row is added, modified or deleted has run. So what we're actually waiting for right now is the delay. We're actually waiting for the delay action to work, and we have 3 minutes that has been gone. We are waiting for extra 1 minute now. So we have 4 minutes. I'm waiting for extra 1 minute for the remaining parts of the flow to run. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so after 5 minutes, you can see your delay action has run and also your get manager has run too. So we're going to we're going to wait to get an email, but first, let's look at when a row is added, modified, or deleted. You can actually see the action, what the is asking the trigger to do. You can see, and this is the schema name for the table booking request. So we're going to go back and you can see the approval has been sent to the email. We're just going to approve and give a comment on this. Okay, so the book is available. And just next thing to do is to click on submit. And we're going to go back to our flow to see what happened. See, the flow has run. You can see, and there's something I want to show you here. You can see the person, like the requester from the app, actually gets an email like, hi, just going to, person actually gets an email that, okay, this is what happened. Person gets an email that, okay, this is what happened, that the book you asked for is available. They get to see the approval, like they get to see the approval that, okay, the organic chemistry you asked for has been approved. You understand? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Similes.
Wow, that was amazing, Rachel.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
obviously, we are seeing the power of Power Automate. Even now, Rachel is actually showcasing the flow run history. And what I love
Yeah.
with Power Automate is that you are actually able to see the run history. So, for an example, if your Power Automate flow failed at some point, you're able to debug in a sense to
Yeah.
see what actually went wrong. And just like Rachel had mentioned earlier on, and we were able to see that there was nothing wrong that was happening, but
Yeah.
instead our flow was actually delayed as per the requirements that we actually added in. And that's something that's very exciting when it comes to Power Automate and the Power Platform in general. So you are able to debug anything that went wrong or anything that's going right. So that, for an example, you are able to pull in certain fields or certain columns that are not quite visible using dynamic content, but you can be able to add in your own expressions using Power Automate Flow and all of those things. And that was really, really an amazing
Yeah.
demo by Rachel. And we actually do have one question that is actually coming from Daniel. So Daniel actually asked about, can we be able to save all of the responses in a table for like later auditing purposes? And the answer is yes to Daniel. So you can
Yeah.
be able to save all
You
of
can.
those responses and you put it in a Dataverse table just like how we have it. And then later on build a dashboard and report using Power BI. So during
Yeah.
my introduction to the Power Platform earlier on, is that you are able to actually be you are able to build solutions using Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Virtual Agents, and
Yeah.
also um, Power Pages in this sense. So again, you are able to add in all of those things and you build your dashboard report using Power BI. And then on top of that, you are taking advantage of the data that is within your Dataverse table that we built using Power Apps at our first session. So
Yeah.
I hope that answers Daniel's question
Yeah.
that
I
he
also
had
want to say
earlier.
something about that too. Like you, if you see that, if you understand that action where you see updates row, the information you get them updated in the table in Dataverse, like what Somilis has said. So you get an opportunity of actually auditing it or getting the information of what actually happened. So yeah, thank you, Somilis.
Yeah, of course. So again, just to mention, the power of the Power Platform is actually, in my opinion, it's actually limitless or endless
Yeah,
because you're
it
able to
is.
build such powerful solutions
Yeah,
that you can be able to just interconnect together. So just make sure that you guys are able to build all of these amazing solutions, and of course, the specific solution that we're actually building using Power Automate and using Power Apps earlier on, and you can be able to find all of these resources within that onboarding block that I actually mentioned earlier on. So the links that are on your screen where you are able to go to aka.ms/, let's build together learnings, you'll be able to find all of the resources that you need to get set up, and also you can be able to find the on-demand video, which is from this session and also from the previous session, to be able to build that end-to-end solution or that end-to-end project using the Power Platform. And also, just like we touched on our last session, on how you can be able to build those Dataverse tables, you can go to aka.ms/Dataverse dash tables, and how you can be able to start building your Canvas apps. You can go to aka.ms// Power Apps Canvas. And then, last but not least, what's a series without a Cloud Skills Challenge? So we have a Cloud Skills Challenge on Let's Build Together called Let's Build Together Challenge. So if you go to aka.ms// Let's Build Together Challenge, you'll be able to find learn modules that will take you through a step-by-step process of how to build the booking request application using Power Apps and automate the booking request process using Power Automate. So make sure that you complete the Cloud Skills Challenge and you can be able to follow along with the stuff that we are building here today. Last but not least, we have two upcoming Reactor sessions. So we closed off the chapter on the building a booking request app and building on automating the booking request process. So now we are actually getting into building an entirely new project using Power Apps and Power Automate. So this project is actually a mobile sales application with Power Apps first, and it has its own business rules, its own business requirements, and that will be on the 10th of March, which is this Friday. And I think we have Rachel doing that specific session. So Rachel will grace us with her presence on how to build a Canvas app using Power Apps and a mobile sales app. Then again, afterwards, we're going to automate that specific mobile sales process with Power Automate. And that will be on the 13th of March at the same time, which is 1 p.m. GMT. And you'll be able to follow along how to automate that process alongside Shadrach Kiprotich. So make sure that you join the sessions and be able to build all of these end-to-end projects that we're building throughout this specific series. And I see that Daniel also asked a question
Yeah.
around how to reach out to us. Again, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Digo Someleze or on LinkedIn Someleze Digo. Or if you want to reach out to Rachel, you can reach out to Rachel on Twitter.
Yeah.
Rachel, your Twitter handle?
Yeah, Richie for love. And also you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Rachel Rabo. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you can ask your questions directly to us, or if you need any help when it comes to anything that you're building, even if it's the solutions that we're building throughout the entire series, just make sure that you reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you guys out.
Yeah.
And obviously, your feedback is also welcome. So if you have any feedback around the Power Platform, just make sure that you provide any great feedback. Or any bad feedback for that matter to us so that we can be able to improve the products and also to be able to improve the experience of you building solutions. So we um, also have another survey, which is you can find it on aka.msreactor/survey so that you can give us feedback around the reactor sessions that we're actually doing, same sessions that we're doing to build those projects using the Power Platform, using even other technologies that you've already seen within the Reactor YouTube channel. So make sure that you filled in that form and obviously give us your feedback. It's more than welcome. So from me and Rachel, thank you so much for joining us for this specific session. Hopefully, you guys have now the first project, which is the booking request app and the booking request process using Power Automate and Power Apps. And hope to see you soon again on our next sessions where we're building the mobile sales application and the mobile sales process. Other than that, bye everyone. Thank you so much,
Bye.
Rachel, for
And don't
coming.
miss it. Bye.
Bye everyone.